Hey everybody, what is up? Today I want to show you how to use Visual Studio Code to compile your files. So as you see, this folder is absolutely empty, and this is how I like to start my project. I right click and I go open with code. So this is going to do this, and then it might ask you if you trust this folder, and you say yes. Although it's not necessary right now. But I'm going to create a new file. You can right click or go here and do new file, and I'm going to call it index.html. So that's my my index file. So I'm going to hit the exclamation mark and hit enter. So that's going to give me the structure of an HTML5 document. And I'm going to call this Sass compiler as a title, just to have something. And I'm going to hit H1 and say this is the compiler, and hit Ctrl S. Now, as you might be able to see down here, or if you can't, you can right click and try to find it out, try to find where it is. We can use the server included in Visual Studio Code. I'm going to hit right click and say open with live server. Now many times you see here go live, and sometimes it appears and sometimes it doesn't, and when it doesn't I just want to hurt myself. But I'm just going to right click and go to open with live server. That's okay. And as you see, it has opened it has opened this my browser, which already shows that I'm ready to go. So it shows here port 555, and there are also some other tricks that I might show you later for this very useful and handy server that Visual Studio comes with. So I'm gonna right click as well here, and I'm gonna go new file, and I'm gonna call it style.scss. So the problem with this is that if we type anything here, our browser is not going to be able to understand it. So we need to compile it, to translate it into regular CSS that our browser or any browser can understand. So for that reason, I'm going to come here. I'm going to go to extensions, although there's a shortcut for that, like Control Shift and X, or you can click right here, and here I'm going to type Sass, S-A-S-S, DAC sounds. So this is the one that I'm looking for. It's called Live-Sass-Compiler, and this is it's developed by Ritwick Day, which is an awesome name, by the way. And I'm gonna hit install. Now the problem is, so far this is quite easy. The problem is that if you wanna change stuff around, you might find yourself with what I'm gonna show you right now, with a JSON file that is kind of like, what in the world is this? So we're gonna have a look at this in a minute. But for the time being, let's just say that you just installed this. So let me go back to my index and to my structure folder. And as you see here, since we have a SCSS file, here it appeared watch Sass, so it's ready to rock. If you cannot see this, right click and try to find it here, because sometimes you see the live server extension shows up here, and my live Sass compiler also shows up here on this little bar down here, but sometimes it doesn't show up, and sometimes I wonder, why, man? Why would you do that? So it's not showing up, so I'm gonna right click, live Sass compiler, bam, and it shows up right over there. So I'm gonna left click this time, and it's saying working, watching, and I'm assuming this is a success. So as you can, by default, by the way, as you can see here, it automatically created a file called style.css, and it has no rules in it, which is fine. But I'm going to create a rule here, and I'm going to start saying that the body should have something like a background color of gray, just to know that this is working. Now, as you see, there's an output down here that it says that it's watching, and it generated two files. One that is called this one, and the other one is called style.mean.css, and that's fine, that's okay. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my index, and I need to link my index file with my style.css, because right now this is not going to show absolutely no changes at all. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to type link, and Emmet is already trying to help me here, and Emmet is a great extension that it already comes with Visual Studio, but sometimes you need to adjust some stuff in order to show you this. Anyways, so I'm gonna hit link with CSS, and I'm gonna hit enter. So this already links my HTML file with this file called CSS, which is already translated, already compiled, and it has this background color. So I'm going to say Control S, and as you can clearly see right here, it shows, oh my bad, it shows that this is actually working here to the right. So it's translating everything right over there. I'm going to close these, and just for the sake of clarity, let me put this, that imagine that variables, we're going to define some variables up here. So so let's for example say that my primary color is going to be some kind of blue color, and so I'm going to choose this blue. Okay, I'm going to choose that blue, and I'm going to say that the background color now is going to be that primary blue. So this is clearly SCSS. This is not Sass, but this is SCSS. And as you can see, the compiler is working, and you can see it here on the right. Now, the index.html, I repeat, is linked to this file called style.css, because just to show you, just for the sake of experimentation, if you will, if I try to link this file to the SCSS, now I'm linking the HTML to the SCSS, and if I say Control S, our browser is not gonna really understand what the heck we're trying to show. We're trying to do with them. Now, if you see, if I hit, I just did Control U to view the source of my code, and as you can see here, this is something that comes already pre-installed, or it's like a boilerplate that our live server creates. But then we have the stuff that I wrote, and as you see here, it's linking to this file, and it has no idea what any of these means. This primary variable and then this variable, it has no idea what we're talking about. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is that you should link your HTML to the CSS, that is a language that our browsers can understand. So I'm gonna hit Control S, undo this wrongly done, this bad idea of linking my HTML to my SCSS, because clearly he doesn't know what I'm talking about. So this is that. So now it's working, and it's showing this blue thing, and as you see, the variables are working as well. And just for the sake of showing just one more thing that I wanted to show you, if you use for example mixing or whatever, it'll show up. It will show up here as well. So I'm gonna hit class, and I'm just gonna hit I don't know, div class, right? That's a really good name for a class. So so I'm gonna go to my SCSS, do this, and I'm gonna say that this has a width of 200 pixels and the height of 220 pixels, and a background, of course, otherwise we won't be able to see it, of black, So we have this square, and what I'm gonna do is that I will try to show you how this also translate mixins. So I'm gonna say border radius, well, border radius of, I don't know, 15 pixels, something like that, and it has a shadow of, come on, help me, okay, box shadow of 1 pixel, 2 pixels, blur of 2 pixels, and the color of white, just because we're dealing with darker colors, so we can actually see what's going on, this little shadow that we have. Let me put this to a 3, so it goes a little, okay. So it has this weird shadow. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say that this would be a mixin that we're going to use, and so I'm gonna say at mix, and so I have to give this a name. So since I'm gonna put these two values here, I'm gonna put border radius and box shadow. I'm gonna call this mixin border shadow, because that's a really cool name. So I'm gonna click copy there. I'm gonna erase this. I'm gonna, oh my bad. I'm gonna include here. This is how you include mixins in your SCSS, and this is called border shadow. And so as you see, this thing here, it's translated into this box shadow 3 pixels and border radius 15 pixels. And you can also, by the way, this is not a mixing and variables tutorial, you know, but you probably know that you can pass in some variables here if you want to change that color, like let's say shadow color, and let me copy this, come down here, erase this. So say this time I will pass an argument, and I'm going to use white, so it works. And if you use red, for example, it also work. It translates, and it will include this argument that we're passing through this mixin, and it'll all work perfectly fine. So it works with mixins, with variables, with maps, and everything. Okay, so but last thing I wanted to show you though is that with this extension there are some options that we have available, and they're pretty cool. And the problem is that when we come to the extensions, it gets all weird, and that can be intimidating because we have this huge JSON thing, and my live server options are here and here. The rest has to do with settings that me myself have created. But what I'm trying to tell you is that if we come to the live server compiler details here, and if we click on the documentation part, we see that, okay, setting docs, here it is. Let me open up. So it shows clear here very clearly that this is the default. It will create the default output will be, the format would be extended, and the extension name is going to be CSS, and the path to be saved is going to be null, meaning that it'll save it in the exact same directory you're working in. But if you wanna give it a different output for any reason, you can add stuff. So for example, I created, just for the sake of example, and you know, for the sake of testing, I created this other thing. So I copied, basically what I did is I copy here and I paste it, and I modified. Or you can also copy paste from here. You can grab it from here as well. And this time it'll be compressed, and it's a minified. The extension name, as you can see, it's min.css, and you can put it anywhere you want. I call it dist, but you can call it this time is for real. So you can call it whatever you want, or you can give it a different path here. So if it's a save, and then if I go to my to our compiler here, .scss, and watch what happens here. to my right, we have this dist file that folder that I'm going to erase right now. Delete. Yeah, delete. So I'm going to hit save on my compiler. So here it created this new folder called This Time Is For Real, and as we saw, this is the compressed version. So if I click here, as you see, this is the minified version, meaning there is no white space, no comments, nothing. It's just a whole bunch of code stuck together, and it's really hard for humans to read, but a little better for machines and browsers for that sake. Anyway, so just a couple of options that you have there. Oh, also, this thing creates a map, and you can also read about that here. There's a map, here, live server. I just copied this, like Control C, and I came here and I pasted it, of course using quotation marks, live map, and I said this is gonna be this is going to be true or false or whatever. So in my case, it's gonna be, I put it to false, because if you just install it, it might create a, I'm gonna put it to true, hold on, just to show you. When you put it to true there, it creates a map saying what's the, it even creates a minified map and another map here, which is, you know, telling you the version, the map, and the sources, and some weird names. So if you're not interested in seeing that stuff on your code, you just click this to false, and I'm gonna delete these two because it created them. Just to show you, it created these two things that I'm not going to use right now. So I'm just hit Control S, and the maps are gone for good. And this is not going to be called This Time Is For Real. I'm gonna call it just this, in case I'm not in the process of developing and I'm in a production mentality or whatever, and I want to upload it to your site, and then, or to your server, and then you do that. So alright, okay, so I'm gonna hit Control S. It created my dist folder. I'm gonna delete this because I'm not gonna use it, and yeah, I'm good to go. So yeah, that's it. So this is the extension called Live-Sass-Compiler. You have all the documentation right here. Where I clicked was in the settings docs, and it takes you there. Although everything is pretty much explained here, but sometimes we read stuff and it can be kind of intimidating. That's why I wanted to share this with you all. And remember to link your HTML to your CSS. Otherwise, if you link it to your SCSS, your browser will not have the slightest idea of what you're talking about. Alright, okay, hope you enjoy this, and I will see you next time. Cheers, bye.